They say every great structure begins with a blueprint. But what if the plan is lost? What if all you have to build from are the ashes of a life you once knew? You start not with a design, but with a feeling, the memory of warmth, and the hope that fire can be kindled again. In the wilderness, the past has no voice. So you teach your hands to speak a new language, a language of wood, of shaping something solid in a world that felt like air. Every shaving of wood, a word left unsaid, every measured line, a search for order in the chaos of memory. This was more than just building. It was an argument with the silence, a negotiation with the ghosts. To build a future, you must first be strong enough to carry your past. So I decided I would carry the mountain itself, piece by piece. The earth offers its bones to those willing to do the work. These stones, they have held the memory of time long before I existed, and they will remain long after I am gone. There is a comfort in that. A comfort in knowing your own story is just a small part of a much larger one. So I gave my burdens a new purpose. I would not be buried by them. I would build with them. This is the alchemy of grief. Turning the heaviest parts of your soul into a foundation, making them the very thing that holds you up. The work is a prayer, the sweat, a baptism. The silence of the forest forces you to listen to the rhythm of your own heart and the steady whisper of the blade through wood. It sounds like forgiveness. Slowly, you stop thinking about what was lost, and you start to see what is being found. A line, a curve, a shape emerging from the wilderness, and in its reflection, you start to see yourself emerge. 2. The walls rise, not to keep the world out, but to create a space quiet enough to invite your own soul back in. It's a fragile truce at first. This partnership between a man and a mountain. But the earth is a patient teacher. It teaches you that strength isn't about force. It's about artistry. Finding the perfect fit, the natural grain, the path of least resistance. You learn to see not just the stone, but the space between the stones. And in that space, you leave room for something new to grow. A forgotten memory, a flicker of a dream. The house began to breathe, and so did I. The fire that once felt like an ending was now the heart of a home. A place to forge, to purify, to begin again. It tempers the stone. It hardens the will. It turns brittle rock into the building blocks of resilience. This is how you rebuild. Not by forgetting the fire, but by learning to control its flame, and from the earth itself, a new kind of paint, a new skin. This shelter would not be a scar on the landscape. It would be an extension of it. Born from the same dirt, the same water, the same spirit, the trees lend their strength to the roof. The stream offers its water to bind the clay. And I offered the only thing I had left: my time and my hands. You learn the patience of the seasons, that some things cannot be rushed. A home needs more than walls and a roof. It needs a story. It needs a soul. My hands, which had forgotten the feeling of creation, began to remember. They were no longer just the tools of an architect. They were becoming the hands of a storyteller. And the walls were my canvas. The ground, my foundation. Slowly, the work transformed from a struggle for survival into a dance of creation. I was no longer just building a house. I was crafting a sanctuary and inviting life back in. Even the smallest creatures seemed to understand that this was a place of becoming. A home is not just a place you live. It's a place that lives alongside you. It holds the echo of your laughter. It bears the marks of your labor. It becomes a witness to your story. And so, the details began to matter more than the structure. A door that was not just a barrier, but an invitation. A roof that was not just a ceiling, but a living garden. The land gives you its body of clay and stone. You must give it back a piece of your soul. This is the contract. The sacred exchange between the builder and the wild. To make it whole, you must protect it. To make it last, you must let it breathe. And so the final act begins, not of building up, but of blending in, erasing the line between what was made and what has always been. The house would wear a crown of living green, a final promise to the mountain that this was not a conquest, but a homecoming. Even the path to the door became a part of the art. Each stone, a note in a quiet melody, leading not just to a house, but to a newfound peace. And with the heavy work done, a lightness returned, a forgotten sense of play. The forest no longer felt like an opponent. It felt like a collaborator, offering up its fallen branches not as fuel, but as inspiration. In the heart of the woods, little spirits began to take form. Guardians carved from the same timber as the house they watched over. It was a foolish, wonderful thing to fill a silent place with new eyes, to give it a mythology of its own. Each brushstroke, a breath of life, each carving, a quiet friend to share the solitude with. They were guardians of the threshold, reminders that even in the deepest wilderness, you are never truly alone. The work was no longer a burden. It was a celebration. Of what hands can make, of what the heart can heal. You come to the mountain seeking refuge. You tear your hands. You break your back. You pour your sorrow into the soil. And one day, you look up and you realize the mountain has built a refuge inside of you. A place of quiet strength, a place of whimsical beauty, a place where the light can finally get back in. The fire you start with is one of destruction. The fire you end with is one of warmth. The glow of a lantern in a window you built yourself. It is the loneliest and most sacred of lights. It doesn't push the darkness away. It simply proves that you are there, that you have endured, that you have taken the broken pieces, and you have made a world where a man can finally sit down and be at peace. Here, in the heart of the quiet, the past is no longer a ghost that haunts. It's just the faint, distant echo of a trail that led you home. A journey that began in the forest has returned to the forest. The cycle is complete. A tree gives its body to become a pillar. A man gives his sorrow to become a builder. And life, in its quiet, persistent way, finds a way to begin anew. You gather your materials from the world around you, and you discover that the most important material was the strength you carried inside you all along. The earth trusts you with its secrets. Its veins of clay, its bones of stone, and in return, you must build something worthy of that trust. Something honest, something true. And the structure that rises from the ground becomes a reflection of the soul that built it. Weathered, but not broken. Imperfect, but beautiful. Standing firm, at last, on solid ground. The smallest details hold the biggest stories. The artist's hand returns. No longer for a client or a commission, but for the simple joy of making. To honor the tree that gave the wood, to honor the silence that gave the space for a new idea to be born. This is not an escape from the world. It is a deeper immersion into it, learning its rhythms, its textures, its truths, and finding your own place within it. The membrane between inside and outside blurs. The roof becomes a garden. The walls, a canvas for the changing light. And the man who came here to hide has built something that is, in itself, a beacon. A testament to the enduring power of the human hand to build and the human heart to heal. The final act of creation is often one of letting go, of resting your tools, of stepping back to see what you have made. But the work is never truly done. A home is a living thing. It must be tended to, cared for, loved. It is a relationship, a partnership. And in that gentle, daily work, you find a purpose that has no end. The path you walk each day becomes as sacred as the destination, a journey of 1,000 steps, taken one at a time. And then, the quiet reward. Not a monument to achievement, but a simple chair, a place to rest, to feel the sun on your face, and to know in your bones that you are finally home. The guardians of the forest stand watch, silent, whimsical, wise. They are a reminder that the world is full of magic. If you are only willing to create it, to see the potential for a face in a piece of wood, to see the potential for a home in a lonely patch of earth, to see the potential for a new beginning in the ruins of an end. The walls now hold more than just the roof up. They hold the story, the struggle, the triumph. They have absorbed the sound of the axe, the chisel, and the hammer. And now, they absorb the silence. A silence that is no longer empty, but full. Full of peace. Full of a life rebuilt by hand.
A very special thank you to the owner of the YouTube channel, Lesnoy_near the fire, for creating this wonderful video and allowing me to comment. If you enjoyed this narrative, please visit and support their channel at the link in the description below.